Crystal here. I'm at work at Glycol all weekend, so I thought I would take this time to find some embalming chemicals in the wild in the brewery. There's so many different options, but I decided to focus on propylene glycol, which we use here as cooling agent in our heat exchange. But in embalming, it is used alone, or it can be incorporated into a compound with glycerin or sorbitol. It is used as a humectant that way, where it is going to make tissue more flexible and pliable. It helps with cellular hydration. It's also used as a solvent that inhibits mold growth. Now, propylene glycol is completely food safe. It is colorless, odorless, it dissolves in water, and we use it in brewing all the time. So here, I'll show you a few examples. We have it in these big tanks. We have these loops back here, say Glycol loops, and they line our tanks. And I'm currently in the fermentation or yeast room, and you can see another Glycol tank, more Glycol loops. It's literally everywhere in the brewery. When we have hot pre-beer, pre-fermentation, it's called wort. And we have hot wort that comes down from our brew tanks on the brew deck. It needs to go into the fermentation tanks. It needs to be cooled very quickly, and propylene glycol does that. It also lines our tanks. There's these pipes that are propylene glycol. They go into our big fermentation tanks and help cool it down. There's also one other place where there's a heat exchange. I will show you. Here, and you can see that glycol should not be used for any beers that are under 5% because it will freeze it. And you can see our glycol loop here that's dripping because they haven't been brewing for a few hours, so it's freezing the lines a little bit, which is totally normal, and that's what happens here. And then you can also see going into our big tank, I'm bad at the Vanna White hands, here we go, I would not be a good weatherman. That's another glycol loop that's actually going into those tanks to line the outside. I'm sorry if I made you nauseous with all of that, but it's used so much here. It's also used on the bar side. There's a little box that is a trip away that constantly pumps propylene glycol into our lines to cool them. So when they go all the way from the keg room, which is on the other side of the tap room, through the lines that go, I believe, under the floor and then into our taps to be poured, they're super extra cold and they stay very cold, and it's propylene glycol doing all of that work. Yeah, so that's super cool. I'm curious to find out if propylene glycol has any kind of cooling effect on the body. I'll be asking Ben, and we'll see what he has to say. Yeah, that's propylene glycol. Thanks. Bye.